in this particular video, we will look into two bases of classification. The first basis that we will look into is the symmetry, and the second basis is the germ layers. So first talking about symmetry. So in symmetry, we can say that the first type is asymmetrical, the second type is radially symmetrical, and the third type is bilaterally symmetrical. Now, in the first asymmetrical, A means absent. So, if no symmetry is present, then we can call it as asymmetrical condition. Now, talking about the symmetry, if any plane of line which passes through the center divides into two equal parts, there will be a right half, there will be a left half, then we say that symmetry is present. Now, in the case of asymmetry, there will be no symmetry. So, we can say that any plane which passes through center will never divide that into two equal halves. So, this particular condition is called as asymmetry. The second is radial symmetry. So, in the case of radial symmetry, any plane which passes through the center that will divide into two identical halves. So, in this, there can be any plane which passes that will divide into two equal halves, and this condition is called as radial symmetry. Now, the third is bilateral symmetry. In this, if there is only one plane which passes through center and divides it into two equal parts, then we call it basically bilateral symmetry. So, we can summarize it that in the case of asymmetry, there will be no plane which will divide into two equal parts. In the case of radial symmetry, there can be any plane which passes through center will divide into two equal halves, and in the case of bilateral symmetry, it will be just one plane that divides object into two equal parts. Now, coming to the phylums, so the first phylum that we talked about is Porifera. So, most of the Porifera are asymmetrical, but there will be some Poriferans which will be having radial symmetry. After this, Coelenterata has radial symmetry, Ctenophora has radial symmetry. After this, even the adults of echinoderms have radial symmetry. After this, there is Platyhelminthes. So, we can say that the first phylum in which bilateral symmetry comes is Platyhelminthes. Now, from Platyhelminthes, it will continue to the last, that is the Chordata. But the exception will be Echinodermata that we talked about. So, Echinodermata larva, it will have bilateral symmetry. But when this larva changes to adult, then the symmetry will change from bilateral to radial. So, that is why we say that larva has bilateral symmetry, but adult echinoderms will have radial symmetry. So, this is the symmetry which is present. Looking into the diagrams, in this particular diagram, we can say that Hydra is shown. Hydra is a member of Coelenterata. So, in the case of Hydra, any plane which is passing through the center that can divide it into two equal halves. Now, in the second diagram, we can see that crab is there. Now, in the case of crab, there can be just one plane. So, this is the center, and this can only be one plane which will divide it into two equal halves, and if it is just one half, then it is bilateral symmetry. So, it was the case of radial symmetry, and this is the case of bilateral symmetry. In the case of echinoderms, as we have seen that there are two conditions. Larva had bilateral symmetry and adult had radial symmetry. So, we can say that in the case of echinoderms, symmetry depends on the stage of development. If it is larval stage, it is bilateral symmetry, and if it is radial symmetry, it will be the adult condition. After this symmetry part, we come to the next basis of classification, that is germ layers. Now, in the case of germ layers, there are two conditions. The first condition is diploblastic and the second condition is triploblastic. In the first condition, that is diploblastic, Diplo means two. So in this case, there will be two embryonic layers. The first embryonic layer will be ectoderm. Ecto means outside, so it will be present externally, and endoderm, which will be present internally. Now, along with ectoderm and endoderm, there will be a undifferentiated layer, and the layer is called as mesoglia. Now, this layer is present between ectoderm and endoderm. Now, we do not include this mesoglia in these two embryonic layers because it is undifferentiated or non-embryonic. So, there will be just two embryonic layers, ecto and endo. Let us see this in the case of this diagram. In this diagram, the outer layer which is shown, it is ectoderm. So, from here to here, it will be ectoderm. Now, inside this part, this will be endoderm, and the layer which is present in between, this layer is the undifferentiated mesoglia. So, the first case here is diploblastic condition. The second condition that we talk about is triploblastic. Now, in the case of triploblastic, there will be three layers. The two layers will be the layers which were present already. So, in this case also, there will be ectoderm, there will be endoderm, but in between a third embryonic layer will be present, that is mesoderm. So, that is how triploblastic condition comes here. Now, if we look into this particular diagram, then in this diagram, we can say that the outside layer is the same, ectodermal layer. The inside layer is the same, that is endodermal layer. And the additional layer comes in between, and we can say that this particular layer which has come in between, this is the mesoderm which is present here. So that is how it comes to be triploblastic layer. Now moving to the phylums in which it is present. So starting with the Porifera. In Porifera, we say that it is not truly diploblastic because cellular condition is present in the case of Porifera. Then it will be Coelenterata and Ctenophora. So the first phylum in which triploblastic condition comes is Platyhelminthes. Now, once triploblastic condition starts in Platyhelminthes, it will continue right to the last phylum, that is Chordata.